Hello everyone. Welcome back to another episode. In today's episode, I'm joined with Nikita, and Nikita has Crohn's disease, and it's gonna be an awesome episode. It's Nikita's first podcast, so it's gonna be awesome for her. So Nikita, thank you for coming on and joining me today.
I'm really excited about this.
Yeah, because you said that you haven't done anything like this before, so it should be fun.
No, I haven't. I think normally because I like doing Instagram, like the typical girl, makeup, fashion, hair. But I like obviously talking about Crohn's and my stoma bag as well. But normally I think I just post the pictures and then I'll write a caption. Normally I won't talk like this on a podcast. But yes, I think it'll be interesting.
Yeah, I'm sure it will. I'm sure we're learning stuff about each other as we go along.
Yeah.
Um, so like with your Crohn's, like it made you sort of talk a little bit about it, like when you was diagnosed and stuff.
Yeah, so I was diagnosed at 10, and the whole procedure was actually quite long. It was around 6 months. I had symptoms like bleeding, stomach ache, I couldn't eat anything. I lost a lot of weight. And the only reason like someone actually did any tests was I was admitted to hospital because they thought I wasn't eating. So they thought it might be an eating disorder because of the amount of weight I lost. And then obviously when they did the tests, like colonoscopies, scans, they found out that it was Crohn's. So yeah, that's kind of just how it started.
Yeah, it was similar for me, although I wasn't diagnosed when I was 10. I was diagnosed
Yeah.
when I was 16. But I always feel like I've probably had Crohn's in me earlier on in life.
Yeah,
Um,
because don't you think it's kind of weird how it just develops?
yeah, it develops very painfully, doesn't it? Uh,
Yeah.
like because I was the same. I was diagnosed in 2017,
Hmm.
and I lost quite a lot of weight as well. Throughout that year, it wasn't really fast. It was. I always go to look up photos in 2017, and I
Yeah.
look and I see. I look different. I each month it goes past. I look, look like I look like I've lost quite a lot of weight, and then
Yeah, I think for me it was more noticeable because as a child I loved food. I was always like, slightly on the heavier side. Um,
yeah.
and then because I lost all of that weight, it just looked a lot more drastic.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? Like with food, like it's annoying when you can't eat certain things because
Yeah,
you feel like if before I was diagnosed with Crohn's, like every once in a while I would have I treat myself like to a kebab or something, and
yeah.
because spicy food now is not a good thing for me, and I liked it beforehand, so it was annoying.
Yeah, I feel like especially someone who comes from a brown household, I'm Indian, we have curries like every day. And I think that's one of the things that like I think needs more awareness is because when you go to doctors or like a specialist will recommend things like, oh, don't eat spicy food. What are you supposed to do if all you've been brought up with is curry? Like that's all my parents know, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think that was a huge adjustment to make as well. And I'm not gonna lie, like now I'll eat whatever I want, mainly because I'm like, it's just life is too short to not be eating good food. But yeah, did you have any like major adjustments to your diet as well?
Um, like when I was diagnosed, like I had to fight to get appointments and stuff because no one was seeing me at that
Yeah,
particular time, and that they were going to push it. And at the time, the feeling I had was a burny, acidy feeling in my stomach. That was
yeah,
for a while, and I couldn't. I then I start when I started to eat, or I could eat. I just live on chicken, and that's the only thing I could really eat at that particular time. Um, and then because I was, even though it hurt because I felt full or bloated when I was eating it, but yeah, like now I will eat what I can. Like there's no specific thing now that I can't eat, but I will try. I like to try new things, like go back to things maybe I don't like. Um,
yeah.
like not long ago I tried mushrooms because I didn't like mushrooms, but they were like in a chickeny like pastry thing. So
Yeah.
um and then I thought, oh, that's nice. I never knew I liked mushrooms. So yeah. What about you? Do you have anything you have to avoid or anything?
Well, with a stoma, because I've got an ileostomy, normally they say avoid high fiber, so anything like popcorn, peanuts, even fruit and veg with the skin on, like I just can't eat it. And obviously, like some people will think, oh, you can't eat fruit and veg, like that must be amazing. Don't have to eat your five a day, whatever. And I'm not one who's always liked vegetables anyway, so it didn't really bother me to begin with. But then now when I'm like, oh, I want to eat fresh fruit in the summer, and obviously if it's high fiber, it'll get stuck. And there's been so many times where I've just eaten something because I've wanted to, and then ended up in hospital the next day because it's got stuck. And I feel like that's the adjustment that's like kind of difficult because food is also like a huge part of like my socializing. Like if I'm meeting a friend, it's normally for coffee, for food, for drinks. Like I think food plays a very big part in our daily lives that it's difficult when people say, oh, just adjust your diet because it's not always possible and it'll actually make you upset if anything.
Yeah, I think it's silly. Like with like
Yeah.
diet, like I know like you can do it, but like you say, like if you want to eat because we need to eat because like it's silly if people do say it's like diet based because it's not because like you say like if you can't eat like maybe carrots or broccoli or stuff like
Yeah.
that, it doesn't mean um like it's silly because you could be all right with chips and you could not be all right with vegetables and that's
Yeah.
so it kind of depends.
I think even do you know when I was like first diagnosed, a lot of people told me, oh, it's because you don't eat enough fruit and veg. And I was like, no, the fruit and veg is causing me the pain. And it's almost like, now on Instagram, I'm sure you get it as well. There'll be like loads of bots under your posts, and they'll be like, oh yeah, just solve it all with a diet. Um, and they're saying just eat fruit and veg. And normally that's the cause of the pain for people with Crohn's and colitis. So I think there needs to be a lot more education about it.
Yeah, yeah. Like, what's your thoughts on like people who like do these healing things with like Crohn's and
It's
everything?
it's bullshit. It's bullshit. It's so bad because I think right. So when I was like at my illest and I needed a stoma bag and I was told about this and I put it off for quite a long time. I was 18 when I finally did get one. But prior to that, I was always with the mentality of I can't have a stoma bag. It's embarrassing. Who's gonna like me? And all of these things in my head. So I just put it off for ages. And as someone like from an Asian background and with people who are really religious around me, I had people tell me it's because I'm not praying enough and I could be cured if I just prayed more. I had people telling me, oh, eating fruit and veg, or you need to just take these supplements, the magic cure, like turmeric and things like that. And I was like, no, because it's IBD, it's a real illness and it's chronic. But I think it just comes from like the way people are brought up, the lack of education as well, because it's not like obviously when you're at school, you learn a lot about cancer and things like that in biology. It's very rare that you actually talk about Crohn's or IBD. So I think it just comes from like a lack of knowledge, but obviously those comments are upsetting.
Yeah, yeah. It is annoying, isn't it? Like because like I suppose what the people who try heal with these medicines and supplements and stuff, I think their aim is to like reduce symptoms and stuff, which I do understand, but like that's what medication is for. But another way, medication dampens our immune system, which isn't great when we have
Yeah.
Crohn's. Is that we are at risk from different things all the time, and it is always a risk factor, and there's always we always worry about things.
It's like, even though we know that these drugs have got side effects, it's better to take them and have the side effects listed than go have some random herbs and supplements that you don't know about and then end up with the side effects you might not even know you'll get. I think it's risky to do both, but at least with medication, you know what the risks are going to be.
Yeah, yeah. Like it is hard to like I take Humira every 2 weeks,
Yeah,
and I take azathioprine, which I've been on ever since I was diagnosed. Um, take vitamin D, B12 because I suffer from fatigue a lot. um,
yeah.
like how's fatigue for you? With your Crohn?
Well, I think I suffer with fatigue a lot, but I don't take anything for it. I know I probably should, but at the moment, I was on azathioprine, and then I decided to stop it myself, mainly because I wasn't seeing like a good effect on my body. I wasn't feeling any better than I would, not taking it. Um, I am on Sterala. I think that's a company name, but it's also ostanicamab. So I just take that every 8 weeks. And I've been on Humira as well. In the beginning, it worked, and I was on it for like 3 years, but it just stopped working. So obviously, I had to change medication again. I think the symptoms I suffer with most is like fatigue. Like if I'm walking around in town, I will need to stop and catch my breath and start again, sort of thing. And I think a lot of people don't understand that. They'll just think you're unfit, you need to go to the gym more, work on your stamina. Have you ever had anything like that?
Yeah, yeah. Like because I suffer from my joints and stuff quite a lot.
Yeah,
Um, and I like I would have to sit down sometimes, and yeah, like you say, it's not about not being fit enough. Um,
yeah,
it's yeah, it's annoying, and like like I'd rather go out for a walk to exercise rather going to the gym. um,
yeah,
because I'd rather not people look at me. I think, but yeah, I think it's even better because you have more adventure, isn't it? Like if you go for a walk, go for a run
yeah.
somewhere, than staying in the gym just sweating your eyes out.
The thing is, I do actually quite enjoy going to the gym. But if I'm there, normally people will be like there for about 45 minutes to an hour. I'll take my time. I'll be there for a good 2 hours, mainly because I'm resting in between like each exercise.
Yeah, you gotta take your time, haven't you? Like,
Yeah.
it'd be wrong if someone at work said you've got to hurry up on this exercise.
Yeah. I think that's why I could never have a personal trainer. Like, because I watch a lot of YouTubers who are obviously into fitness and they all have personal trainers. And I'm like, I could never do that purely because I just wouldn't be able to keep up.
Yeah, I think it's yeah. I'm the same. Like I have friends that do have personal trainers and stuff, but it's too pressurizing, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Like if you did have one, maybe someone that comes from similar background, like that, maybe understand IBD and stuff like that, maybe.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's a lot of hard work. Um, because I did actually inquire, I think, about one. Like because of I think during the pandemic and everything, if they could actually come to my house rather than going to the gym, because I think at that point COVID was quite high and everything. Um,
Yeah.
and I did remember going to a gym where everyone would touch it, and I would have to be extra cautious and everything. Um,
Yeah.
and
And
yeah,
also from that, like now that all the restrictions have gone, how do you feel about that?
I'm not very happy about it. Um,
Yeah.
because like from the government, I won't tell my views on the government, um, but it's annoying because it feels like they are kind of forgotten about the people that are vulnerable,
Yeah.
and her own immune systems, and it's very weird. I was really weird when they said we're going to scrap everything, because at the beginning, everyone that who was on like like was had a low immune system and was vulnerable, they had the shield, and then they continued that for a little while longer, and then all of a sudden, you forget about the pandemic. Really, they say they
Yeah,
don't forget, don't they? They say we haven't forgotten about, like, if people are vulnerable, that
but
they can have extra cares.
clearly they just don't prioritize us anymore. And I think, yeah, it's so weird how we had to shield for so long and then, be extremely careful everywhere. And then now they're like, oh yeah, everyone back to normal. Even if I think I understand, like, the world has got to go on and, we can't just be living in this pandemic forever. But I also feel like they should have at least kept the restriction. If you test positive, you should stay inside and stay at home and isolate, because at least then it stops you spreading it to someone who could be vulnerable. So I think even if you're going to take away all the restrictions, at least keep that one in place.
Yeah, I think, yeah, I agree. Like, I thought that was the key one they should have kept, because,
Yeah,
like, people can go outdoors and you're not going to know if they've got COVID, and, like, they don't have to have. It's not visible for everyone as well, is it?
yeah.
They may be all right with it and stuff. So I think they should have kept that one, and the face masking and the social distancing ones.
Yeah, I think I know it is not supposed to be for you to protect yourself if you wear a face mask, but if I'm on busy transport or, like, on the train or something, I'll still put my face mask on just so I feel like I'm protecting myself. And then obviously social distancing, there's only so much you can really do about that, but I'll just try and keep my distance where I can. But yeah, one thing you just can't help is people walking around with COVID. And I've even heard it from, like, people I know, if they've tested positive, are like, oh yeah, but the guideline doesn't say you've got to stay indoors anymore. And I'm just thinking, yeah, but you're also talking to a vulnerable person saying you don't want to isolate. Like, what sort of message are you putting across there?
Yeah, it is very annoying. Like, because I like football. I go to see
Yeah.
my team I support. I got a season ticket, and I recently did renew it for next year. Even though I missed quite a lot of the games last year, but when I did go, um, that was in place where you had to have a test. But of course now they don't, so it's very more risky. But when I went, I wore my mask. I was the only one who wore it. Um,
Yeah.
and it was weird, But well, I wouldn't. I'm not surprised, because in front of me, I was observing, and there was a person, like, there was a meeting a new person watching the game, and he said, "Hi, I'm nice to meet you," and then was going to shake the hand, and then the other guy said, "No, I don't want to touch you. I don't want to touch your hand."
Yeah.
And then I was thinking, why would you do that? Pandemic's still going on. I know you don't have to wear masks, and at that point you don't have to social distance, but you thought you would have some common sense. I think you possibly could be spreading germs anyway from doing that.
Yeah. I think in settings like that, it's kind of difficult because, again, like you said, you were the only one wearing a mask. And then it's almost like people would turn around and say, how come you're still wearing a mask when you don't need to? And then I feel like we always have to explain ourselves for why we're taking precautions, when it's like, it should just be personal choice anyway. Like, even if I didn't have Crohn's and I wasn't immunosuppressed, I think I'd still be wary about the germs.
Yeah. Yes, it's crazy. Like, yeah, I'm the same. Like I would still be wearing a mask. I still, yeah. Like, it's crazy. Like, it's like people have just learned how to keep clean, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, especially at the start, people loading up on toilet roll.
Oh, that was a weird time of the pandemic.
Yeah, like, I was laughing at it. Well, like, I did a little challenge. I did a little football-y challenge on the toilet roll, and some people weren't very happy about that. But I only did it because I was bored. I was in lockdown, and I was
Yeah.
bored, and I said, and then someone commented saying, older people could be using that toilet roll, and I said, well, they're all out of stock. um, but yeah, I use it to be fun. Of course, it's going to be used and everything. It's just you get bored, don't you? And lockdown.
Yeah. Actually, you know, when I look back at some of the trends that were happening, especially in the first lockdown, like people doing that 5 mile like running challenge and stuff, I'm just thinking like we were really bored, like super bored to be coming up with things like that.
Yeah, I think it was the best time to go out though at the start because everyone was in, wasn't they? Um,
Yeah,
so if you wanted to stay away from people, that was kind of the best way, I'd say.
yeah,
Um, it was like ghost towns, wasn't it?
yeah.
Yeah, but like with like how long, like when did you have your stomach bag, like for your Crohn's?
So I think it's going to be like 3.5 years now. Um, so I was diagnosed at 10, and then I just held off getting a stoma bag for as long as I could. And I was on like I just kept changing medication after medication, wasn't working. And then this one time, it was after my 18th birthday, I ended up in hospital. And normally I'll just take a course of steroids, it'll be fine, I'll get out in a week. It just didn't happen this time, and they were like, well, seriously, you need a stoma bag, otherwise you're about to die pretty much. And I was like, okay, shit, it's actually serious. So I got my stoma bag in like October 2018, and I didn't want to, but I wasn't in a position to just say no because I knew I needed it. So I just ended up with one. It's been like 3.5 years now, and I feel like the first 2 years it really took me a long time to adjust. Obviously, I figured out how to clean it, how to change it, put a new bag on, everything like that really quickly because I feel like I'm a fast learner in general. But I think the mental side of it, it's almost like I pretended I was happy getting it because I knew I needed it. But then I never accepted that maybe a part of me was actually very upset. So I only really started loving it, I'd say like a year ago, year and a half ago. Well, like I literally talk about it all the time, and like all my friends know about it. I don't hide it. I'll make all the poo jokes in the world. Like it's just funny to me, but it took me a long time to get to that point, definitely.
Yeah, I like when people like talk about the stone bags and like raise awareness of it because I don't have one. But I always think it's great when people talk about stone bags because
Yeah.
um like I think it's kind of another top thing on top you having to accept after the Crohn's, isn't it? Having a stoma bag.
Yeah, I think as well, what kind of puts into perspective is on social media, you see, because I follow a lot of people my age, so I'll see a lot of girls with stoma bags, obviously showing it off, feeling confident. But then when you're in hospital, like especially after I had my operation, I was put on a ward with like 10 other beds around me with women who had a stoma bag. They were all like significantly older than me, and a lot of them hadn't even heard about what Crohn's is. A lot of them were getting it because of bowel cancer, and I just kind of thought, oh, it's not that common for younger people to get one either. It's just because of the people I follow on social media that I thought it was. So like I'll get comments all the time like, oh, you're too young to have this and things like that. And I think in a sense I feel like people shouldn't say that because obviously you can develop it at any time. But at the same time, I feel good that I've been through it at such a young age, and like I'm confident about it now.
Yeah, I think it's great. Like it's it is it does take time to process, I suppose, and like there's always that thing, isn't it, about Crohn's, like that stigma about it. It's like it's a diet, it's a toilet condition. Um,
Yeah.
always come to those two main things, and like if you use a disabled toilet, you're more or less going to get looked at by someone like, why are you using that?
Oh, I
Um,
have a story about that. So it was after I got my stoma bag, and I enjoy swimming a lot. So as soon as I could at the 6 month point, I was like, right, fully healed. I'm gonna go swimming. I go, and obviously afterwards, because the bag is wet, and I'm not gonna just sit around with a wet stoma bag. So I went to the disabled toilet thinking I'll get changed in there I also changed my bag at the same time. And then there was this like girl about, 5, 6, something like that. She was like, oh, how come she's using like the big toilet to her mom? And obviously it's a little kid. It's fine. Like they have no understanding of what's going on. And then her mum was really rude. She was like, oh, I don't know why, normal able-bodied people just use a disabled toilet. And I I was like, I had no words. I was like, I've not experienced this before. So all I did was move my swimming costume to the side so she could see my stoma bag. And you should have seen the look on her face. Like she just went bright red. And then she was like, I'm so sorry. And then she just ran away.
People like that are annoying, aren't they?
Yeah. But
Like,
it's crazy because at least at that point, I was happy to do that. Whereas I think other people would have got really upset.
hmm. Yeah, you like I imagine that you probably did get upset as well, like well
Yeah,
when
I
she was
I
saying
was
that.
more annoyed. Like I told my friends afterwards as well. I was more annoyed at the fact that she assumed that I wasn't disabled and I was just being, I don't know, stupid and just using the facilities anyway. But then it made me realize that like people just don't have an understanding of what an invisible disability is. But now that I've seen in Asda and in Nando's as well, like they've got the signs outside the disabled toilet saying not every disability is visible. And on some of them, they've actually drawn an image of a stoma bag. And I thought that's like a big move.
Yeah, I've never seen them. Like I've seen the ones that like the normal ones you see, but I didn't know they do that, like the ones with a stone bag. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I saw that and I was like, this is a huge movement since like a few years ago.
Yeah, like you know what they should do? That they should make one where it's like you got like showing like a flare up maybe in your bowel like all red or something.
Yeah,
um like because it can't stay that and it's annoying. Like I did have a situation um like when I went to the toilet, like I used the disabled toilet, and there was actually two instances. One, I went to an Ed Sheeran concert. I think it was in 2019,
yeah,
um, and because I knew the toilets was going to be packed at the concert, it was going to be packed. I went to McDonald's, and everyone was queuing out there for to use it, and most of them were queuing outside the disabled toilet, and because the other ones were full. Um, and because I have a just can't wait card, I have that handy as well.
right. So about that, I just wanted to ask, have you ever actually used it? And how do you go about it in that situation?
Um, I have used it a fair few times. With this one, I kind of skipped the queue. We're
Yeah,
in McDonald's, because there's not law. You don't have to use it. It's all about the person. And I find when I explain it to maybe the staff members, they know what Crohn's is now more than when I was diagnosed. Anyway,
yeah,
it's more. Although the people don't understand it, uh, they know what it is and stuff. So
yeah.
that's always
It's
handy.
like almost, even if they know it's just a toilet condition, at least they can get you to a toilet almost.
Yeah, yeah, and actually one instance, I went into a restaurant or somewhere and I asked, "Can I use your toilet?" And they didn't have public toilets apparently, or they weren't being allowed. They were locked. Um, and I said, "Can I use your staff toilet then?" I didn't explain how Crohn's at this point. I just said I needed a
Yeah,
toilet. I wanted to see what they were going to do if they were just going to let me in. Um,
yeah,
and I said, "Can I use your toilet?" And then they said, "No, it's for staff only." And I said, "But I need to go to the toilet." And they said again, "No, I can't let you in." But I've got Crohn's. Do you know what Crohn's is? And he said, "Yeah, I know what Crohn's is." Um, and then I showed them my just can't wait card, and then they did let me in. So
yeah.
um, it is a task though to
I
to have
think
it.
though, like when I think about when I didn't have a stoma bag, if I needed the toilet, it was urgent. It was like I can't be explaining to someone I need the toilet because I have to go right there and then. And I've never used my card. I've got one. I've even got a radar key. But I've just found it so awkward to be like, hey, I've got this card. Can you like let me skip the queue? So I've just never been able to do it.
Yeah, I did say to them actually, I will go on your floor if I don't go. So yeah, it is annoying. Um, like I don't feel like I go to the toilet as much as some people. Like I don't
Yeah,
spend the whole day on the toilet, um, which is pretty good. I feel, but I do have blood now and then, like in my
yeah,
stool sometimes. Um, which the first time I saw that was not very nice. Because it's not something that you imagine seeing, is it, down there?
yeah.
But but yeah, it's annoying.
See, it was actually like really bad for me because I would spend like 20 hours a day on the toilet. Like, forget sleeping or anything. It'll be me on the toilet or me in bed, and that's it. And the only time I'd move is to go back to the toilet. And then I used to get a lot of bleeding as well. And I think that's what made me really fatigued at the time. And when I finally got to the point where I was like, okay, I'm gonna leave the house. If I'd go to a shop or just in town, anything, I would always first of all look, okay, where's the closest toilet? And then in my head, I'd start counting like, okay, it's gonna take me like 20 steps to get there. So that means that's like 2 minutes to get there. And then I'd calculate it all in my head. And it was just so much information and so much like I don't know. I don't even know how to describe it. It was like my life was revolving around a toilet
Yeah,
for quite a long time. And it was so bad because if I tell this to like someone else who doesn't have Crohn's, they'll be like, what were you doing figuring out how long it's going to take you to get to the toilet? But it was like a real issue for me.
I think there's a toilet app. I think like you can get a toilet app and it just tells you all the toilets are in your local area.
Yeah,
Um, I've got that, and yeah, it's quite handy. Um, but yeah, I know what you mean. Like, it's hard to explain to people like why you need to use this toilet. Like,
yeah,
and I remember once I did use the disabled toilet, and I think I asked my mum to wait outside because I knew people would knock on the door or stuff or try to open it, and
yeah.
that would annoy me and make me feel like I've got to hurry up for someone
Yeah.
else to use it.
Honestly, people who knock on the toilet are the worst because what do you think I'm doing in here?
Yeah, they think like because I think this woman this person was in a wheelchair, and of course I walk out and I get the looks like I'm not in a
You're just
wheelchair,
an
but
able-bodied
yeah,
person. Yeah.
yeah, like although wheelchair people, I always say they are disabled, but other people can be disabled not having one, um,
Yeah.
and yeah, like it like even people in wheelchairs eventually. Also, some people don't can use a wheelchair, like, and they don't have to use it. Like, it kind of varies how they're doing or what they have. But
Yeah.
yeah, I feel like it's good to have those new signs though, like not showing that it's not just a wheelchair; it's people standing up,
Yeah.
and everything. But yeah, like it is like have you ever been have you ever needed to go to A&E because you've been in a lot of pain? Like, I have to go straight there.
Yes. So many times. When I 10 to 18, when I didn't have a stoma bag, I feel like I was there for months on end. It's like I'll be there for 2 weeks-ish. I'll come home, it's still the same symptoms, I'll go straight back. So I missed a lot of school for that as well. Like I was barely in high school. I don't know how I got my GCSEs and my A levels, but yeah, somehow I managed to do that. I have had a few horror situations. One of them, this is when I've had a stoma bag. So obviously, if I choose to eat, I know it's my own fault. If I choose to eat something that doesn't agree with me, 9 out of 10 times I'm going to be in hospital. So I had this takeout and I had the chips and I didn't realize that, the skin was on them because they were like wedgies. So I had that and then I was like, oh crap. I've eaten them with the skin on. And then I thought, I'll just drink loads of water. I'll be fine. It won't get stuck. The next day, absolutely, I need the hospital. So my friend takes me there, and this was during COVID as well. So obviously not allowed to stay with me. So they stood outside the whole time I was in A&E, and I got triaged by the nurse because the system is kind of like you go in, you get assessed of like what your emergency is, and then you'll just get told to wait. So I'm at UCLan, and the closest hospital to me is Preston Royal Infirmary. I went there, and the nurse who saw me, she almost didn't have a clue about what Crohn's was and how having an obstruction in your stoma is really serious. So she was like, "Oh, okay, we'll just put you in the line." They don't have a priority system at this specific A&E. So I was just put to the back of the queue, and the queue was 9 hours long. And I just had to sit there. And when you get an obstruction, if it's quite bad and absolutely nothing is passing, then you'll most likely start vomiting and you'll feel really faint, obviously in a lot of pain as well. So I started throwing up in this A&E. Luckily, it didn't go anywhere. I got one of those, disposable bowl things to throw up in. And there's also nowhere else to go. You just have to stay seated, especially because of COVID. And then I was just throwing up. All the receptionists were hearing me, and a few of them told me to shut the F up. And some of them said, "Oh, she's just faking it. Like you can't, you're not that sick. Stop gagging, stop throwing up." And it was so embarrassing because all these other patients waiting to be seen are also just looking at me throwing up and like just watching the receptionist swear at me. And it was kind of like, why are you in a job where you have to deal with patients if you don't like patients? It doesn't make sense because no amount of money is going to make up for that. And then when I finally saw a nurse, and at this point I was in a wheelchair because I couldn't even walk because I was really faint, and she would take my blood, and I couldn't sit still because I was just like in and out of consciousness almost. And then again, she swore at me because I couldn't keep my arms straight. And I was like, wow, like what on earth am I dealing with right now? So I got moved back into the waiting area. And then about 9 hours later, I finally got seen. But at this point, my stoma had started working a bit. So I saw this junior doctor, and he had a look at my stomach. And obviously, when you see my stomach, you see my stoma bag. So he was like, "What's this bag?" And I said, "Yeah, I've got an ileostomy. It's been blocked, but I think there's some movement right now. So I'm feeling a bit relieved." And he was like, "Okay, so what's inside the bag?" And I was like, "Do you want me to explain that it's my intestine, or do you want me to explain that it's shit?" Like, I didn't know what he was wanting. And then he was like, "Oh, so how come it's in there?" I was like,
Oh,
"What?" I was like, "What? Are you a doctor?" And then obviously we just left it. I said, "I don't want to do any scans or anything. I've been here long enough. It's finally working, so I'll just leave and I'll go home." But I said, "I'm really worried about it still though, because I know it's something I've eaten, and if it doesn't fully come out, is it going to be like any side effects? Is it dangerous?" And he was like, "Oh no, you've got your whole digestive system." I was like, "No, I haven't. No, I haven't. I don't have my large intestine." So I just couldn't believe I was having to explain to a doctor what a stoma was.
it's crazy. Like you thought they know that kind of stuff, and like yes, it's annoying when you have to kind of explain yourself, and especially if someone like that is not going to understand. Like knowing,
Yeah.
like if either it, like you're kind of wasting your breath, aren't you? Like if I explain
Yeah.
that,
It's almost a bit like I want them to help me, but at the same time, I feel like I'm helping myself the most because they don't even know what I'm on about.
yeah, it's crazy, and I think the whole A&E thing is stupid. Um, like I think we shouldn't be going to A&E. We should be going to somewhere else. That it's because
Yeah,
you,
definitely.
A&E is like an accident, like if someone is like injured, and isn't it?
Yeah.
And we're not injured. Like, and like you can imagine if when you're going A&E at the front desk, you can imagine that they're gonna think, "Why are you here? You've got no injuries, have you?"
Yeah. I know you get that look, don't you, when you go?
Yeah, because when I was in a blood flare, I had that really bad burning pain. I did, and it was a horrible experience. This was, um, and like you, I was in a like similar hour time waiting. I had to wait hours. I was there for most of. I went midnight-ish, and it was packed. Um, and this was like a few years ago, but
Yeah.
it was I had to go in, and then I don't like being like close to people anyway. I'm one of those people, I like my own personal space.
Yeah.
So I didn't like being next to people. Anyway, and I asked could I move it to a different room, and then yeah, I did get moved eventually. um, and I'm sitting there waiting, and then they were doing me a blood test, and then I thought, oh, yeah, all right, I'm used to blood tests. I've got Crohn's. I have blood tests all the time, and
Yeah.
it's gonna be fine. And then this guy, well, my dad goes with me. This guy, I'm trying not to cry, and he puts it in, not the vein, like not, it doesn't put it in at all. He's keep on going, think he's doing it, and me being that I don't want to be mean, like I don't want to
You
say
don't
anything.
say
No,
anything.
no, and then my dad can see I have a tear in my eye, and then I do start crying quite a lot afterwards. Then he said, what are you doing? You're not doing it right." And then I was angry. After I was crying, I was angry as well. And
Yeah.
and then and then I get told, even worse, I get told he's a professional person. He hardly gets anything wrong. And I thought, well,
How is that a professional?
he's been working here years. He's one of our most experienced persons here. And I was thinking, most experienced?
No,
Um,
absolutely
and
not.
what I would have appreciated if him to actually come to me and apologize, but
Yeah.
he got his some lady who was working there as well. He said he's very sorry. We apologise, and I didn't say anything. I didn't say I'd rather him apologise because there was no point.
Yeah.
But I was thinking to myself, he could at least said that to me himself, um, and then someone else did it. I think yeah, so someone else did it. But yeah, like when I was younger, I was always fearful of injections. I didn't like them, blood tests and everything. But
Yeah, same.
now I'm used to them. Like first of all, I used to have like the cold ice when you have the blood test.
Yeah. Or like the numbing cream as
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
Yeah.
And at one point, I thought, hang on, I'm gonna have these all the time. Like it makes my arm cold, and then I thought like if you think of it, it don't take too long really, and
Yeah.
it feels more better without having it now, like the numbing cream or the ice.
I just think it depends who's doing it because obviously I've had a few times where like nurses don't know how to do it or like my veins are so small as well. So it's always a struggle. But then I've had some nurses who, get it first time and I'm just there telling them, you're amazing
Yeah.
because how did you get that? And they're like, we just have experience. I think it just depends on the nurse.
Yeah, I think so because what I do every time before I know I'm gonna have a blood test, I have like 2 liters of drink or something. Um,
Yeah.
and because they always ask me, have you had anything to drink this morning? And then if someone can't do it, I wonder why, because I've drunk so much. um,
Yeah. Then it's not a you problem, it's a them
no,
problem.
yeah, and I said you can't moan at me. I've drunk this morning. Um, I might be going to the toilet a lot though. But yeah, like I agree with what you're saying, like with your depends to nurses, because if a new nurse comes in, like for example, before I was on Humira, I took infliximab injections. I like
Yeah.
infusions. I went to the hospital. That I was on them for about a year. They're my first biologic medication I was on.
Yeah.
Um, and first of all, I was freaking out because I loved all the process and everything. And but like a person there, like was a newbie, like at a training, everything, and they were trying
Yeah.
it on people. And then when she was there for about 5 minutes trying to do it, and I said, I didn't have the confidence to tell them, so I just told my dad to say it to them, because I didn't want to be mean. I don't think it come across me. It's just like I know the people. I know how to do it, and they might know how to do it, but
Yeah,
I just don't
I
know.
think after a certain amount of time, if you have all these blood tests and infusions all the time, I think you get to know your own body. And because you see them do it that many times, you know when it's right and when it's wrong. And yeah, I have also found it's quite difficult to tell a nurse you're not doing it right because it's their job, and especially if they're training. I don't want to be rude and put them off, but I also don't want to be sat there in pain.
But the thing is, one of these persons that I declined not to do me went over and did someone else, and they did it wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, that they did it wrong, and then they had to start the whole infusion again because they did that wrong. And yeah, that was annoying. But I did a total of 9 infusions within the year, and
Mhm.
I wanted to get to the 10th, and I couldn't. It was some sort of bad luck or something, I reckon. Um,
Yeah.
because when you have infusion, you have the loading doses, don't you? At the start, and for the first 15 minutes, and I had a reaction like it was one of the worst reactions I've probably had on a medication.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
like first of all, I started feeling really hot, and I
Yeah.
at that stage I thought it was just hot in the room, and then I thought, hang on, it's like it's getting like you're in a sauna. It felt like that kind of heat. Um,
Yeah.
and then after that, the cannula on my arm that felt like it was gonna come out or pop or something. It felt really bad. And then after that, like the nurses were written. I love the nurses, and they're really nice, and they say they come and see me like if I'm okay. And I said, yeah, I'm all right. At first, I thought nothing of it, and then few minutes later, I couldn't breathe, and I was struggling to breathe. And
Oh
then
my
they
gosh.
had to put oxygen on me, and my dad actually he came with my infusions each week,
Yeah.
and at this point he went out because he wanted to air his legs. You couldn't afford it, could you? Like it's before any of this happened, he said, I'm just going to go to the shop. I'm just going to go to the shop. Do you want anything? And then I think I might have said I want maybe the chips, or because I do like the chips in hospitals. Weird, I don't like anything else. Like, any other food they give you, I don't like it. I eat the chips.
Yeah.
Because they're quite nice. But yeah, yeah, and then what happened was I started to breathe again, uh, which was good. um,
Honestly, but it's kind of scary because if you hadn't reacted all the other times, it's a bit weird.
I think antibodies probably built up on maybe slowly.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, I was actually before I was on infliximab, I was like consultant said that I was going to go on Humira straight away, but I wanted to be in hospital because it was shortly after I had Crohn's, so I wanted to
Yeah.
be with people who knew what they're doing. Um,
Yeah.
so because Humira had been at home, um, and I still don't do Humira injections myself because I don't know, like I don't like injecting myself. Like if I have to, I will.
Do
Um,
you have for Humira, do you have that clicky pen, the one that makes like a loud sound when you inject it?
It does make it is, yeah, it's supposed to make it click. You know, like the ones that like EpiPen type looking.
Yeah. See, they were the ones that I would always get a nurse to come out. It was like every Friday after school, I'd be like, okay, the nurse needs to come and do it because I can't do it myself. But now that I'm on Stirala, because it's just a pre-filled like needle sort of thing. So it doesn't make that loud sound and it is painful, but I managed to do it myself. And especially because it's every 8 weeks, like it doesn't bother me as much as Humera used to.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, it's like every 2 weeks, like I think antibodies, I think they can do one. You can have one each week. I know people that can have that each week. So yeah,
Yeah.
I tend to do my injections on a Thursday afternoon, um, when it's time, because I just want to get them over and done with. I used to do them in the evening, but if something went wrong, I would have to ring the IBD nurse, and they probably wouldn't pick up too
Yeah.
late. Um, but there has been some situations like sometimes that click hasn't done it. You thought it would do it, and then you put it in, and it hasn't clicked yet. Um,
Yeah.
and then yeah, and sometimes the liquid goes everywhere and everywhere. So it's better than going to hospital though, for infusions.
It's just convenient, isn't it?
Yeah, it's actually a good time because I picked that good because when I had an inflictibab, there was no pandemic.
Yeah.
And now Humira, there's a pandemic, so gotta pick that right to do one at home.
Yeah, I used to be on infliximab, I think when I was just diagnosed, so maybe 10 or 11, which is like, I feel like it's almost a bit young to be on all these medications. Like when I now think about it, and I do biomed as well, so some of the drugs I'll learn about on my course and I'll be like, whoa, I was a bit too young to be taking things like that. Um, yeah, I had like an okay experience with it, but it just wasn't as effective for me as something else would have been. So I ended up switching medication.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, it's annoying though when you have to switch, isn't it? Because you feel like you're doing all right on this one, then you have to move on to the next one.
Yeah, and when you have to switch, like I've always had to have a course of steroids in between medication, just because I can't be on nothing, or like especially a lot of medication takes like a few months to actually kick in as well. So yeah, I hated the whole thing about with steroids, the whole moon face and gaining loads of weight and stuff, especially at school when every kid is like just staring at you. Um, yeah, I hated that part.
Yeah, yeah, like people stare at me in general. Like in school, ain't it? They say if you look at someone just oddly, they'll say, "Why are you looking at me?"
Yeah.
I was like, "Am I not allowed to look at you? Like it's not like it's life, in it. We have to look at each other
Yeah.
to speak and maybe daydream, I suppose, in the school if it's boring." But yeah, like speaking of school, that's when I was diagnosed with Crohn's when I was in year 11, like my last year.
Yeah.
Um, and it was a strange time because it was like preparing for like exams and everything.
And then obviously your illness just got in the way.
Yeah, and I was part of a drama group as well that I played a motor role character. So it wasn't ideal that I was not be able to take part in a few of the lessons because it was only a limited amount of people. Um,
Yeah.
and and yeah, I would say it wasn't long I waited, but um, it was. I do like drama though. I do like acting. um, um, but with like when I was in pain, because I still went to school even though I was in pain. I was
Yeah.
with one hand with my pen, and then one hand with my stomach, and I would say, "Oh,
That was me in exams all the time. Um, I think, yeah, when I did my GCSEs, I was on morphine because I was literally on morphine for the longest time ever. I don't even think you're supposed to be on it that long, but I don't even know how. I just go to the GP and say, I'm in pain, and they'll just prescribe me another, set of morphine, and I'll be like, okay, cool, guess I'm taking this. I think it was kind of bad because it got to a point where it wasn't actually helping with the pain, but I was taking it because I was so in routine. Like if I didn't take it, it was like this anxiety built up in my head thinking, oh, I haven't taken my medication, so I'm not going to be okay today. So I just had to keep taking it. And then, yeah, for my GCSEs, I was obviously put into like a separate room and stuff so I could go to the toilet if I needed. And I was on morphine. I fully remember it. I was like fully out of it as well. Didn't have a clue what was going on. Um, in pain, and then just thinking, okay, I've got this, like an hour exam, I can just write. But yeah, that's what I used to do.
and you know when I was in pain in class, the teachers can see it, and they said, "Do you want to go to the library, like to do your work, or just to chill out, or do you want to go to the nurse and have some medication or some sort of
Yeah.
painkiller?" And then I said, "Thank you for asking, but painkiller's not going to help me because it's different. It's not pain that you would get. It's pain that stays there unless it's treated with actual
Yeah.
chronic medication." And with the library, I did say no because people go in there. It's where the printer's located. and people go in there and they will ask, why you here, or why you sitting down, why you not in class, and I just wouldn't have the energy to answer. Um, and
Yeah. It's a
so
lot of explaining all the time, isn't it? Having Crohn's.
definitely it's annoying, like we have to explain ourselves, but I do enjoy speaking to people who have Crohn's and understand.
Yeah, it's I think it's a mixture of I want to educate people and I want to raise awareness, but at the same time, when you're actually in the middle of it and you just need to get out of a situation, you need to find a toilet, you can't eat X, Y, and Z. You don't want to be sat there explaining to someone your whole life story. Like I want to tell people about it, but when I'm actually like comfortable telling someone about it, like if we were to go out to a restaurant and I say, and it's someone, for the first time I've met them or first time I've been for food with them, and I say, oh, I'm going to get this instead of this, or I'm going to have to remove the vegetables from this. I don't want to have to sit there and explain to them why I'm doing that. But at the same time, I do like talking about it because I feel like since I've had it, my whole personality is I'm disabled and I've got Crohn's and I poo in a bag.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like I think I do have to. I always say like it's good to have jokes about it, like as well,
Yeah.
because it can't all be doom and gloom. Like, we're gonna have a bad days, of course, but we're gonna have our good days as well.
Yeah, I think joking about it just makes it a bit more lighthearted. And I think it's just one of my coping mechanisms to like even now, I found out that I'm gonna have to have another operation to move my stoma from one side to the other side just because of like complications. And yeah, I had my moment and I cried about it for a day. But after that, I was just making jokes about it, like calling it, oh, it's going to be stoma 2.0. And, I'm just going to have like a different place on my stomach where I'm having this bag. And I think it's just the way I deal with things.
Do you do you name your stoma at all? Because I see people name
Yeah.
it.
Okay. So mine's called Stomy. And then when it gets moved to the other side, I'm going to call it Stomy 2.0.
Yeah, that's great. Like easy name to remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's just cute.
Yeah. Like so, 2.0 is going to be Stomy's partner then.
Yeah.
uh, uh, but yeah, I think it's good. Like I think when you name things because it makes it more fun, doesn't it?
Yeah. Um, yeah, I think I see a lot of people actually naming them, and I feel like I talk about my stoma as if it's another human or something. Do you know what I mean? Like when it's not well, okay, when I'm not well and it's because of my stoma, I'll be like, yeah, Stomy's not well today. And it's just funny.
I have got, I don't know if I'm ever going to get a stoma, but if I did, um, it'll probably be last resort, I reckon. Like I can't do any medications or anything. But if I did, I always
Yeah.
have a name in mind for if I have my own stoma. Um, I'll call it Mason Junior. I want someone to be called Mason
I
Junior.
love that. So like your baby.
Yeah, yeah, or something that I thought of. Like if I because I thought about like quite recently having a dog or something like a pet, but um like the name coming to mind would be Buddy or something. But if I had a stoma, it'd be that. But it's because I'm so busy, I don't have, I suppose, time. I suppose to have a pet. Like I used to when I was younger, but
Yeah.
now it's more busy. Like because I'm 21 this year, it's gonna be quite hectic with doing different things and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, like what like with alcohol when Crohn's, like do you have alcohol or do you
Oh, yeah.
not?
I mean, so in first year of uni, freshers and everything, and also because it's just a new environment. I used to go like twice a week clubbing. None of my parents know about it. They don't need to know about all these details. But yeah, I'd go out and I get drunk so fast now that I have a stoma. And I think it's because like you absorb the alcohol faster than you even absorb the water. Because I've got an ileostomy and normally it's your large intestine that'll absorb water, and because I don't have that, I'll just absorb the alcohol. So I'll get so drunk like really fast. It doesn't have a bad effect on me, like I won't be in pain or anything, but honestly, I could last like on one drink throughout the whole night. I don't need anything else.
Yeah, it's like just yeah, I would be the same actually. Um, like I like cider, I do, so I would just be on the
Yeah,
same
I
one.
was literally on like one bottle of Copperberg. That's it. I'm done.
Yeah, yeah, I do like them. Like in my mind, I will only drink at special occasions. I'm not one to go drinking like every weekend.
Oh yeah, that was because I was in first year of uni,
Mm,
and the first time I've had freedom to, do whatever I want.
yeah,
But more recently, especially after COVID and now as well, I'll only drink on occasion, or if I'm celebrating something, or if I just haven't been out for a drink for a while, that's the only time I'll drink now.
yeah, yeah. Because it was my friend's birthday, 21st this year, so I kind of took like a risk myself not going. Everyone did like people would have done some tests and everything, but
Yeah.
I did kind of risk myself, and I was out of it a little bit. I did enjoy myself, and I hope like I only have a drink if my Crohn's is alright. Like if I'm in a flare, I won't I will drink.
Yeah.
But every once in a while, I think we need one, don't we?
Honestly, especially with these uni deadlines, I feel like I'd need one all the time.
Yeah, yeah. Like September is when I'm 21, so I'll be in well with my Crohn's. I will celebrate it nicely.
Yeah.
um, but yeah, it is something that people do. Like everyone with Crohn's is different, which is great. Like people avoid drinks if they want, they can't have
Yeah.
them. Um, like I can't have caffeine, so I don't have caffeine. So I do have a coffee though. I do like having coffees, but I will have decaf, and they don't
What's your
taste.
Starbucks order?
Um, I will normally just get just a normal coffee, like a latte maybe.
Yeah, I
Like
feel like I always get a caramel frappe or a caramal macchiato. But again, like even though I've got a stoma, I feel like I shouldn't be having coffee because straight away, like my stomach will just start working 50 miles an hour for no reason. But yeah, what else can you like not have?
I can't have caffeine. Like I can't like it's really weird because like spaghetti bolognese, like when I was younger I loved it, but now I kind of throw up if I eat it now. It's really weird.
Oh,
Um
yeah,
like
that is weird.
like I always feel sick, like or like that I can't eat it, like physically can't eat it. And I don't know what it's about it. It's just it's like life's changed. Like I was alright when I was younger, now just can't eat that.
Yeah.
Um, like I can eat as much like now I try to eat what I can. Like like it's normally just caffeine I can't eat or too much. I really spicy foods I have to avoid, which I would like to have spicy foods though, but I can't. Um,
I think, yeah, I just eat whatever I want and then just kind of test the waters with things that could be risky. But yeah, like I said, socializing has a lot to do with food. And that's why if we're all going to a restaurant, it's gonna be food that I maybe can't eat. I'll just try and eat something because I also just really like trying new foods.
yeah. I actually remember when I was in a flare, I went on meeting friends. I think I went to Nando's and I couldn't eat. Everyone had their meals and I had a full plate, couldn't eat it. And
Yeah,
I just said, "You eat mine, because I'm not be able to eat this."
right. So I normally, even before a stoma and even now sometimes, I'll be really hungry. So I'll get, like a big portion of food. And then I'll be like, actually, after about a bite, I can't eat anything else. And I think it's something to do like with a lack of appetite. But it's so weird. I think we get overwhelmed because there's a big amount of food in front of us. So at school, I'd always buy, a full school dinner, and then I'd have a few bites, and I'll just pass it on to my friends. I'm like, I can't eat anymore.
Yeah, like it's the same. Like especially I suppose when if you get a takeout of something you like, you'll get as much as you want on the menu, like between all of you. and then you feel
Yeah.
like, oh, we can't eat anymore. It's all going to go to waste.
But I always, if I'm in a restaurant as well, I'll always just get a takeout box. I'll just say, can you just put it in a bag and pack it for me? But before I used to be really embarrassed of doing that. I used to be like, oh, why can't I just eat a burger? But then I think sometimes it's a psychological thing as well. You know, like when you're out and then you're thinking, if I eat this, I probably need the toilet. So I'll just feel more comfortable eating at home.
Yeah, yeah, I'm the same. Like, I haven't really gone to many restaurants like the last few years with the
Yeah,
pandemic, but there was one I have been to, which was awful. This was like, it was this Chinese takeout place, like we eat in the restaurant, and
yeah.
you would order everything, and then if you don't eat all of it, they don't have a takeout box or anything. They say is the rules. Like, if you don't eat, you have to pay extra for the things you leave behind.
That's so bad.
Yeah, I know. Like,
That's like discrimination against people with IBD. I'm
yeah,
sorry.
yeah, it's awful. Like, I didn't even. It was annoying because like everything you ordered, you won't all get it at once. You would get every little bit. Like, you could get rice maybe on its own or chips on its own. It
Okay.
wouldn't all come at the same time. And I think like we went quite late in the day. It was nearly closing. But I think it's awful. Like, I went to. You should be able to. Most do have a take-up bag. Like, if you can't eat everything. Like,
Yeah.
you can't get. You shouldn't get forced to have all of it at once.
No, or than having to pay because you didn't eat it. Like, what's that about?
Yeah, I think it's like £5 or something, or £5 per dish that you can't have.
I just want to know what they're doing with that money.
Yeah, it's awful. And yes, it's places are like that. I suppose not the only one.
Yeah. I also think I don't see it a lot up north, but I'm assuming maybe in like London and places like that, that you know, if you sometimes want to use a toilet and I'm too awkward to use my like I need the toilet card. So a lot of places will have you need to buy a drink or food and then you can use their toilet. I also think like that's the worst. It's the worst because one, I don't even have time to buy your food because I'll shit. So what's anyone going to do about it now? Like I went to Leicester and everywhere was you can only use a toilet. Like they literally have signs on their door saying you can only use a toilet if you buy food or a drink here. And I just thought, like, for what reason?
That's awful, isn't it? Like, I see places that like like outdoor toilets where you have to actually pay to use it, and
Yeah,
I think it's silly because it's human rights, isn't it? We need to use the toilet. We don't pay to go for a loo, do we?
yeah,
It's like when we got to school, we wouldn't like pay a pound. I used to pay a pound, put in the pot, and go loo.
yeah. It's like I see why they do it because obviously they want to maintain it and make sure it's clean and only people who actually need to use it are going in.
Mm.
But at the same time, like a lot of people, you know, even nowadays don't carry change anymore. Everything's by card. And a lot of people probably, even if they do have change, they're not going to have those few minutes to find the change and do that because by that point, like they already need the toilet.
Yeah, yeah, I agree, and it shouldn't be like that. Like, I know, like some people might not be able to wait to put the change in there, and it might take
Yeah,
a longer process, like as well. And yeah, it is. That stuff kind of needs to change. Like you put all these disabled, like not everything's visible on the toilets, and then for people who have got like Crohn's or IBD have to do the same as everyone else. So
yeah,
it's pretty annoying, isn't it?
I know. I feel like disabled people or like, you know, with Crohn's IBD, they should just have probably just another toilet that says, do you know what, emergencies, have it.
Yeah, yeah. It should be like only use this toilet if you have IBD or like or Crohn's or stuff like
Yeah,
that, like conditions that aren't visible, and then if you are a person that is using this toilet and you do not have an invisible illness, you have to pay £1.
yeah. It's just annoying because then they need to validate, you know, the person actually using it. But I feel like, you know, most of the time I'll just go to a normal toilet. Um, because I'm like, oh, I don't want to, go to the disabled one and kind of stand out that I'm going to this one. I think
Mm.
the only time I'll go is if I need to change my stoma bag, because then I need the sink and the toilet like in the same place. But actually, I'm not going to say where I worked and who for or anything like
Mm.
that. But at this job I was at, for quite a while actually, they didn't have a disabled toilet.
That's very good.
And I just thought, wow, like, where is your equality and diversity training, please?
Yeah, it is like it's annoying when people don't have a disabled toilet because it's nice and roomy and like it was annoying. I remember I was at a college once and they had this disabled toilet. I think that yeah, and I wasn't like I asked why am I not allowed to use this toilet? Like I think it was a staff toilet that used the only disabled toilet in the
Yeah.
college, and I felt like people like me, I still went in it even though I wasn't allowed because it's something I wanted to do, and like rather than going in a tiny toilet, people can just come in. And
Yeah.
I don't know about you, there's just in general, I don't like if I'm going into maybe a public toilet and I don't like to be disturbed. Like I don't like people coming in. I
Yeah.
find it, I find it, I don't know, I just don't like it. I'd rather just being in a toilet on my own with no one else.
It's just off-putting because then you feel under pressure. Like if someone sees that your door has been closed for a good, 20 minutes, like what are they doing in there?
Yeah.
And really, you're just trying to fight for your life on the toilet.
Yeah, because like if you are there doing a number two, for example, you don't really like if another person's in the toilet, you kind of feel a bit weird, like other people hearing that, don't you?
Yeah.
But I do try my best to do that kind of stuff at home if I can, but you can't help that if you're in
But yeah,
public.
you can't help it when you're gonna need to.
Yeah, like it's like anything, like you have to do it when you have to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like with Crohn's, is there like have you been any like to like fundraising events like or anything like that?
I think I went to this, I don't even know what it's called anymore. It was such a long time ago, maybe when I was first diagnosed. Um, it was more like a conference or like a meet up with other people with IBD. And I think it was actually run by my hospital at the time. So they did just like loads of speeches from doctors and loads of patients as well. And I'm not gonna lie, I think it was just too soon for me to go to one of those events, because as soon as one of the patients started talking about her own experiences, I just started bawling my eyes out because I thought she's saying exactly how I feel, but I just hadn't told anyone and I hadn't even thought about how I was feeling really. Um, and it was good overall. Like I liked meeting people, but since then I just haven't been.
Yeah, I did go to one of I did go to a London walk it, London walkies that you can do.
Yeah,
Um, in London, I've been to one of them and I did enjoy it. Like you got everyone's purple, you've got face pain, meet other people who have Crohn's, and I thought that was pretty cool. Um,
yeah,
but I like you said before, I do like meeting people my own age. I prefer meeting my people my own age and quite older than me. Um,
yeah,
and I did go to this like something. I think it was like, at Costa Coffee or some event where, and then I didn't really enjoy it. I know people over there had Crohn's and stuff, but they were more old enough to be my dad. um,
yeah. And it's like the experiences are not the same. So it's almost kind of hard to talk to them. I actually find that because I just follow people my age who have got Crohn's or stone bag on Instagram, I've heard that's just the main source that I use to connect to people.
yeah,
I don't know, maybe I'm just a bit socially awkward as well. So I feel a bit like under pressure if I was to meet people in person.
yeah. I'm the same. Like I always used to be shy, like meet
Yeah.
people. Um, but as I got older, I grow more confident and stuff. So some people might not come across as shy, but I am shy. Like like if I start a place where new people or like I move to college or move to school with a whole new environment, it's very difficult to
Yeah.
engage in conversations with people that already know that they're already friends with each other, and you're kind of that new person.
Yeah, it's always difficult in those situations.
Definitely, definitely. Like, um, do you think it's important, like, for people that have Crohn's and IBD to kind of like work in those kind of settings, like in hospitals and stuff themselves?
Oh, okay. This is a sticky one because obviously I've gone into a very scientific, like biomed sort of path. I actually did volunteering, I think when I was 16 in a hospital, and it was like a patient support thing. So I was basically working with nurses on this ward. And in my head, I just thought, right, I've been the patient. I normally, go home after about a week. Everything's normally fine. Um, but when I was actually working alongside these nurses, I think I was too emotional. I think I just related to the patient a bit too much to the point where I was going home after these shifts getting very upset. So that's why I've gone down like the biomedical science route, just because if you don't know what that is, it's basically, say if you got a blood test and the people who test it in the lab, like that'd technically be my job if I went into blood sciences. And because I don't have that patient contact, I feel like I'm still helping to make a difference, but at the same time, I don't have to deal with the patient themselves, and that kind of protects my feelings too. So I know a lot of people decide to go into it because of their own experiences, and it's almost a way of giving back. But I think it's important to protect your own feelings as well.
Yeah, yeah. Like, only do what you feel comfortable. Um,
Yeah,
like if that's what you want to do, then like it's your own choice, isn't it? Like if you want to do,
yeah,
if you'd rather do it like that, or you'd rather be more involved with like patient contact. But it's completely like people's choices. Like there's so much you can do within like the hospital, can't you? Like you do behind that, like doing the blood test. You can take them. You can even just be there supporting people.
yeah,
But even if you're doing that like without seeing people, you're still helping people. But they just
yeah,
um
definitely.
they might not know it's you specifically helping them, but you're still helping people.
But I also think if you want to go into a completely different career, nothing related to healthcare, I think that's still just as fine because it's almost your escape
Yeah,
from just the hospital setting all the time. Because I think it depends on how you feel about your Crohn's anyway. So if you feel very negatively about it, like you hate it, can't believe you got it, things like that, I feel like you don't need to be in that situation for longer than you need to be. So maybe for those people, working in a different career is just better for them.
yeah, I agree. Like I wouldn't, I suppose, go down that route as a job. Like work in hospital setting. As I'm there most of the time anyway.
Yeah,
I'd rather stay away from that side. Like before the pandemic, I did my a coaching football course, so I qualified football coach. But because of the pandemic, that kind of working in that setting had been put on hold. But I did actually get offered something with a football coach that taught me when I was younger. So I've got that
yeah,
to look forward to, and I
that's
do.
really cool.
Yeah, football and acting are the two main jobs I would go down, but not at the
Yeah,
moment because I just want to wait for things to die down a little bit longer just to see
yeah.
how it goes. But yeah, I'm sure we it all links into hobbies, really, doesn't it? Like what you're interested in.
Yeah, I think that your job should have an element of your hobby in there, or like something you enjoy. Because if you're going to work absolutely hating it, you're just never gonna, like, the money's never gonna be enough to compensate for that.
Definitely, and I completely agree. Nikita, but before we go and like finish, is there like anything else you want to say? Like any advice that to anyone?
I would say if anyone is struggling and maybe they haven't even been diagnosed yet, maybe they're going through an operation, I think one quote that always like sticks by me is everything will be okay in the end. And if it's not okay, it's not the end. So you should always just keep pushing.
I love that quote. Well, I think that's great, and I completely agree. And I hope you've enjoyed like coming on the podcast.
I have. It's been amazing. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I've loved it, and we'll definitely do more things together. Like keeping in
Yeah.
touch and everything. But thanks, Nikita. It's been awesome.
Thank you.